sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. He said, tomorrow is another day, living is the only way. Tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be.
So, greetings to everyone watching us tonight. I am Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, host of A Sip of Inspirations podcast, and I want to thank you for joining us. And also, I want to thank the Zoom and the Facebook people for allowing for a successful connection. We are going to add one more person in right now. We've just admitted them in. So our panel will be 6 plus me. And we're going to start tonight's discussion of the book, Creating a Masterpiece from a Master Mess. So for those of you who are watching us who have not read the book or seen the book, it looks like this. So it's nice, all colorful, and each color actually corresponds with one of the things I call one of our superpowers. And those are the things that are already innate in us that allow us to overcome just about anything that happens to us so that we can live the life that we desire, the life that life has created us to live. So joining me tonight for this discussion is a long-time girlfriend. I tell you, we've been friends forever, okay? And we are not telling you how long, all right? Or where the bodies are buried. So that's Mae Pittman. So thank you for joining me tonight. Then on the other side, you'll see another friend, which is Charles Jackson. How are you doing? So he actually handles SEO stuff for me. Below him is Lester Coleman. So I want to thank Lester for joining me. Then next to Lester is another friend, which is Edrea Brown, who was the second person I met when I moved to Chicago. So she's been around a long time. And then the next is Tameika Gipson, so who is actually my niece and one of my road dogs, okay? And below her is Miriam Pickens, which is the other road dog. So if I want to pick up and go somewhere, those girls will go with me. And she is joining us too for the discussion. So now that we are all here, I want to give you all a chance to say a little something and introduce yourself, and we'll go around in the order that I introduced you. So Mae, so tell us something about you.
Good evening, everyone. It is absolutely wonderful to be here. And I just want to say right out of the gate, creating a masterpiece from a master mess. It is awesome. It is wonderful. And I know we're going to get into some great details about that. And I have been a good friend of Stephanie, just, how they say, if the person can write your biography, you know that person. Well, we can write each other's biography, so we know each other very well. And I'm a retired human resources specialist, still do a little consulting here and there. So it's going to be a great discussion tonight, and looking forward to it.
Yes, well, Mae and I have covered some territory together for like years, like when our children were little. Okay, if that would give you any idea how long we've known each other. Okay, Charles.
Yeah, my name is Charles Jackson. A lot of people know me as River Flows. I'm from East St. Louis, and I've been a student of Dr. Coleman for over 15 years, easy. He's a recipient of the type of work that she does. This is just amazing to actually be here and work with her. So you guys are definitely in for a treat. And as I will say all the time, watch and learn.
And Lester Coleman.
Yeah, hi. My name is Lester Coleman. Stephanie found me on the side of the road, and I was hungry, homeless, and she just said, would you like a bottle of water? And I said yes. And you know what they say: if you feed a kitten, he'll lick your face. Well, she fed me, and I licked her face, and we've been like that for the last 22 years. So.
And Edrea.
Hi, I'm Edrea Brown. Like Stephanie said, I was the second person she met, and knowing her has actually changed my life for the better. She is a phenomenal person. Her writings are phenomenal. And if you don't have this book, I suggest you treat yourself because you're in for a treat this evening with us discussing. I'm excited.
Yeah. And Tameika, you're going to have to unmute yourself. Okay.
Yeah, I'm Tameika. Dr. Coleman is my aunt, and so I am so proud of her. And not only just this book, but the other books that she's also written. So I'm super excited to be here, and I look forward to our discussion.
And Miriam, you're going to have to unmute yourself.
All right. I am Miriam Wilson-Pickens. I have the pleasure of being Stephanie's niece, so we get all the goods firsthand, which is nice. I piggyback on what everybody said. Everything that she do is very uplifting, and she's always been there as a support system for us. And so the book just helps you along your way. It's like having a piece of her with you.
Thank you all for such nice things. And of course, I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman. So for those of you who really know me, you don't know that person they just described, but that's okay. So let's get started with the discussion. So we don't have any real order. I want people to talk about the parts that they really liked about the book. And as you know, in the book, I talk about forgiveness, gratitude, planning to succeed, stop hosting pity parties, visualization, and staying in a moment. Because I think that those are some of the things that we need to focus on no matter where we find ourselves in life. So which one of the topics would you guys like to start with? So we'll start.
Here, let me start. Let me start with, like all good books, let me start with the table of contents. Now, the table of contents in and of itself is almost like a recipe for healing. I'll read it to you. The first chapter is forgiveness. And then the subchapters are the key to prosperity, forgiveness, prescription, healing my heart, the gift of forgiveness, richest story. Then it goes on to visualization, said the people without vision will perish, but it says when failure is not an option, what you see is what you get. Activating the law of attraction, personal reflections on visualization, and the courage to imagine Vicky's story. Now, one of the things that you notice, and if you see a trend being followed here, is that she is not only giving me, the prescription for, say, like staying in the moment, the art of living in the now, staying in the moment formula, 5 sense exercise, and finding the power of Carolyn's story. Notice that she's giving you actual examples of these things happening. And another good thing about the book is that after every chapter, there's room for you to write in your notes and everything and come back. And, the good thing about writing in your notes is that don't nobody else have to see them. These notes are for you, so you can go back and you can revisit them again and again and again. I've had the pleasure of being able to purchase a couple of these books because I keep dog-earing them and, once you cry in the book, it kind of stains the pages and stuff like that. So I had to give me another book for that. And, but these books are amazing, which made me want to go back and reread all of her other books. This is, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Coleman, but this is the 4th book in your series?
Yes, it's the 4th book.
The 4th book. So now I have to go back and see where is all these pearls of wisdom and knowledge coming from. And one of the good things I like about it is that she's quoting scriptures and santras from all of the great mystics and ministers and doctors of divinity, and and it's just wonderful. So it's not just Stephanie talking, but it's all these great seers, that are talking as well, and her expounding upon their ideas. So
Okay, so next person. So it's a discussion. Y'all don't have to wait to be called upon. Let's just talk about it.
A good deal. Lester, I got to concur with you, my man. I got a book for like as many pair of glasses as I have. They're everywhere. So I got one in the car. I got one at work. I got one in my office. I keep one in my bedroom. So wherever I go, I don't have to mess around with where I'm taking the book in. But like, and I even got it on my phone too, because I like to do the Audible now when I'm on my way to work. when I'm on my way to work, go to the store or someplace like that. But it's definitely good. And the words and the lines in there is kind of like your own area for writing your recipes for what you wanted to do and things of that nature. I use it as a teaching tool and things of that nature for me, and especially for people that I work with, family outside, like the granddaughters and my grandsons and stuff like that, because the things that I've learned, I've definitely get the opportunity to teach, and as they say, you teach one, you do one, teach one, that particular analogy, and it's been working well. Like I said, I've been a recipient of some of the things that she's been doing, so I know it works. Man, you can't knock it.
Well, in the book, I can say that reading the book, I have, there's a lot more people that have just some little nuggets from the book, just from me sharing, because I've read, of course, and I'm a retail manager. So I come across a lot of different people, and I don't always know what's going on. I mean, I have those that I work with, and then I have those customers that just come in. And at times it's just, okay, hey, it's in my spirit to speak to them. And it's like, okay, hey, I heard this and I read this. And so, hey, this right here, it goes a long way if you forgive. Be grateful for the things that you have. It's not about what you don't have. The little kids, they look at me sometimes, but like, what is she talking about? Because I tell them, I was like, you in here showing out? I said, your mom, she works hard for the money she has. So be grateful that she brought you to get you a toy from Five Below today, because she could have took that money and did something else with it. I was like, it's not always about getting everything that you want. So just being grateful. I share the little nuggets with people I come in contact with, because I don't have enough books to share, and I'm not giving up mine.
I bought them for a reason.
You mentioned a very key ingredient in Stephanie's recipe for making your masterpiece, and that's gratitude. When I was a little kid, and I don't know if any of you guys can relate to this, but when I would do something wrong and I get my butt whooped, I couldn't understand the logic when my mama said, if you keep on crying, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. Any of y'all relate to that? Or maybe I'm the only one that use this.
No, you're not the only one. We're the product of all right child abuse.
So when my mama said, you keep on crying, I'm gonna give you something to cry about. Stephanie's book tells you, if you keep on being grateful, I'm gonna give you something to be grateful for. And in her chapter on gratitude, it talks a lot about that. It talks about how we have to be able to find gratitude in even the simplest thing, the smallest thing, the ability to be even coherent, to put thoughts together, the ability to just breathe, the ability to, and this is actually in her book. If you're wondering what to be grateful for, thank God that you had the mindset to wonder what to be thankful for. That's in her book, And I said, one of them things that make you go, So gratitude, one of the things, that's in it. So thank you, Tameika, for reminding me of that.
For me, the book and the first chapter, just in forgiveness, and just from us talking over the years, Stephanie, you always talk about forgiveness, and I've learned what a powerful tool it is. And it is definitely for you, not the other person.
Not for the other person, yes.
To get to really forgive the other person, but sometimes we just have to forgive ourselves. But on page 6 in the very beginning, of the forgiveness was powerful to me because you're having this conversation and it's asking a lot of questions that we really don't ponder. We don't sit down and ask ourselves. We don't critically think about. And if you really sit here and do the work with this alone on that first page, you probably have the first at least 3 months in of getting yourself together or getting yourself to a better place, depending on what's going on for you. Then it's always the statistics that have been added in. And then you always give space in there for us to write in the book, to use it as a workbook. It could be a third or fourth Bible, depending on how you work books and Bibles. So that's one of the great things about this book for me.
One of the things, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
One of the things that I love is staying in the moment. And the world is changing real fast, and we have had 2020 was a very challenging year. 2021 is presenting itself as a challenge, but when you stay in the moment, you find a way to meet the challenge. And we had so many hopes, expectations for 2020, and then there was this nosedive right into about the third month. And all of a sudden, everything that was planned was shifted drastically. And it made me realize that by staying in the moment, I could not look back. And I remember that scripture from the Bible, remember Lot's wife. A lot of women are mentioned in the Bible, but very few, she's the only one that they tell you to remember. Because when you look back, you don't get a chance to enjoy where you are right now. You're looking back and then you're not enjoying, just being in sunshine, the food that you have to eat, which goes to the gratitude, and whatever, or enjoying your children or grandchildren, or the fact that you were just able to get up and just move and take care of yourself. And the exercises in here to help you stay in the moment, because we are distracted. We are bombarded with so much news and horrible things. And of course, you have to deal with some unpleasantness that does happen, but you don't have to just dwell on it. As we talk about in Carolyn's story, you don't have to stay there. Tell me a different story. Why do I keep repeating what happened in St. Pete in 1975? That's past and gone. What's happening right now? As Les Brown, I think it was one time, that said, someone comes up to him and says, you remember when we did this? And he says, yes, but that was 20 years ago. What are we doing now though? What about right this minute? Stay in that moment. Enjoy the moment.
That is so awesome, because you know what, Ms. Pittman, that just put me back in the remembrance of hosting a pity party. The story we keep telling about ourselves over and over and over till you actually start living that story again and never being able to move forward. And you're like stuck in that moment of just being, whether it was sad or something like that, or whatever that particular situation was that's holding you hostage. And because we keep keep talking about it. You're right, we have to change that narrative, because we have the ability to write our own narrative and not let nobody else tell our story and get new narratives and things. So, and the exercises in the book definitely bring you around to doing that. So excellent narrative. Thank you for that segue, man. That was so great, because I was just thinking about that.
So what were some of your favorite exercises? Because I've done each and every exercise in this book. I field test everything before I write about it.
What? Since you brought it up, then the wrist rubber band thing, where you have to, I got bruises.
You were much braver than I am, because I wasn't going to even sit around and pop myself with the rubber band, because I need my hands to work with, so I might have been in a whole lot of trouble.
So for those of you who are listening and looking at us, the rubber band is, you take a rubber band, and the challenge is you put that rubber band on your wrist, okay? Doesn't matter which wrist you start with. And it doesn't have to be a pretty band, because a lot of us don't get started in changing our lives because we want to wait till things are perfect. We have the perfect band, the perfect color, the perfect car, the perfect weight. But right now we're here and this is the time we have. So we're going to use what we have. And you put it on your wrist. So if there's a habit you want to break, so I ask you to break the habits. I ask people to stop shitting on themselves. Like, I should have, I could have, I wish I had, I wish I'd have done. It's like, let's stop that habit. You did what you did because you did what you did. And you learned what you learned because that's what you needed to learn. Okay, so, and we're not going to live our life driving while we're looking in the rearview mirror at what we should have done. So every time you do one of those I shoulda, coulda, wouldas, you pop your wrist. Okay? And then you change your hand. Okay. And then when you do it again, you pop your wrist. Guess what? It won't take long before you have broken that habit. Now that's the most painful version of it.
Yes.
Because some people need the pain, right?
I need the pain, yeah.
Right. Some people, though, there's another version. So you can have a jar. And one of the stories I talk about is signing what I call a complaint jar. Mm-hmm. And every time you complain or do that thing you're trying to break, put a specific amount of money in that jar, a quarter, $1. Trust me, when you get about $20, you'll be over that habit. And you have to start over too. So if you do that for 30 days and on 30th day you screw up, you got to start all over again.
Well, it helps increase your savings account.
I like that exercise that you have about staying in the moment. I've been a student of Thurman Evans, Johnny Coleman, and now Reverend Dr. Coleman. Stephanie Coleman. And, all of them kind of said the same thing. If you don't like the way something is going, stop, take a deep breath, and change your perspective. That actually change your perspective is a chapter in her very first book. Go out there and get it, y'all. Her very first book. Change your perspective. But in that moment, so essentially what this exercise is doing is allowing me to allow my God to invoke his divine order, because there is no chaos in my God. There's chaos in me, that I will double book myself for meetings and then try to decide how I'm going to do both of the meetings. And while I'm on the highway already 10 minutes late or 10 minutes to the time when I'm supposed to be at a meeting, I'll get a telephone call and one of the meetings is canceled and the other meeting has been delayed for a few minutes. And, if I wouldn't mind stopping and getting me a tea or something like that, because they're going to be a couple of minutes before they're able to start me. Divine order. But what your exercise said, it says set an hourly reminder to pause your activities for about 30 to 60 seconds and focus on your breath. Next, quickly survey your body for any pain, tension, or soreness. Focus on each area where you feel stress for about 5 seconds and give the command to relax. Smile. Practice listening to your surrounding. How many different sounds do you want to hear? When I give the command to my body, I also have to tell my mind to relax.
Yes.
Because my mind is what's the one that's creating all this chaos. I may have something going on with my knee, but it's my mind that tells me that my knee is hurt. My knee ain't telling me that it's hurt. My knee is sending up a signal. The mind is translating the signal and saying that, hey, the knee is hurting. Let's have some pain. Because the pain, and I know you doctors out there and you healthcare practitioner, you can say that, there may be an inflammation, but the receptors for that inflammation is actually in the brain that tells you that to say ouch. So thank you for allowing me the chance to just relax and chill out for a second. And it don't take long. We owe it to ourselves to give ourselves 30 to 60 seconds per hour just for us, some me time,
One of my exercises, one of the things I like over in Plan to Succeed, I like the fact that you mentioned writing it down. There is something about things that are written down instead of my just saying, I'm going to walk 1 mile every day. But when you actually write it, put it on a blackboard, whiteboard, whatever, it makes a difference. There seems to be more of a commitment. And then, of course, how you break that down in the book here on page 86, you know, the different areas of your life. Because sometimes we tend to get a little one-sided. We only want to concentrate on the physical side of our lives instead of also adding in the spiritual side of our lives. And, you know, understanding that all the areas of our lives have to be taken care of so that there's a balance, you know, and whatever. Neglecting yourself for the money, but then not having the health to enjoy it, or you have great health, but then you don't take any time to plan, oh, I got great health. Yes, I want to go walk on a beach, but I live in the middle of a desert. But you know what? I didn't save any money to get to the beach with. So now where are you? So there has to be a balance, but writing the things down and setting the goals, and they don't have to be very big, because the little things, as you were saying about putting the little dimes, nickels in the jar, tend to add up. And dropping in the nuggets, as Tameika mentioned earlier, you know, when you add those nuggets to your mental bank, you know, and even if you only have a second and you can't even close your eyes, sometimes in a Zoom meeting, and you may just have to meditate with your eyes open while you're talking to people, so that you can still stay in control and not let things just get out of hand. Planning to succeed.
And meditating with your eyes open is incredibly possible too, because I do it all the time. You just need 30 seconds. You just stay focused, you take a deep breath, and you sort of survey your body. If there's any pain, you imagine yourself breathing into that area and releasing it. And you will be so much more relaxed, and no one will ever know. They'll say, oh my God, something happened. You just look so relaxed. What's going on? You know, and you don't have to tell your secret until much later, but you're right. You do have to, I think sometimes when we get busy with life, and then this pandemic has taught us one thing, as I said on Lesson Sermon Sunday, is that we're not very good in solitude or silence with ourselves. We've been fooling ourselves all this time. And this pandemic has taught us that. And I think that if we use the time to write down what we want to achieve and where we want to go, and staying in the moment and being grateful for all the things that we do have, because we have so much, we will be able to come out of the pandemic much closer to having achieved our goals, because so many things are possible virtually. And we're finding out, I think the pandemic is teaching us that we didn't reach our goals because we didn't know the right person. We didn't reach our goals because we really didn't pay attention to them. We didn't write them down. We weren't really that committed to them. And that's why we didn't reach our goals.
You know, when one of the other things, you know, switching from the goals is, you know, my goal is to be an intercessor. You know, I'm very fond of saying, you know, there before the grace of God go I, but I've switched that and said, there for the grace of God is His mercy. So when I see something that is not quite right, you know, something in discussions with Stephanie, you know, she has said that I look at the news as my prayer list. You know, I look at the news, you know, even on the sports, I pray that my favorite team wins, but I also look at the news as my prayer list when I hear about what's going on in other parts of the world, what's outside of me, you know, that I need to pray for, that I need to bring to attention, you know, and that's a good thing. So the news is not all doom and gloom. The news is actually a prayer list, of things for us to be grateful for and to be prayerful for.
So, and it may be a lot going on in the news. Pick one.
Yeah.
And pray for that situation and send light to that situation and pray for healing for those people, because I have experienced that every time I do a healing session for someone or with someone or pray with someone, I benefit from as much from that as they do, and you don't even notice it while you're doing it. So pick something to pray about and try to avoid the blame that they should have known better, that person should avoid that. We all have something we still do. We all have something we have to learn. We are still a work in progress. All of us don't quite know what life is asking us to do. So prayer helps it along.
That's very true. One of the parts that I really enjoyed was the money mindset, the difference between poor to rich to billionaire. And those few words in each column to me is something that we all everybody probably has said everything or thought everything in the poor mindset. We may have dabbled over into the millionaire to billionaire, but most people are only going to get so far to me as middle class. And this is a great blueprint on how to change some of it, if not all of it, depending on where you are and what you want out of life. Because I think we've all sat there and like the rich gets richer and the poor get poor, but you're as rich as you want to be to a certain degree, or as poor as you want to be. For what you think about, you bring about. And I just think this blueprint, I call it a blueprint, is just a great tool and a way just to see what you're thinking or not thinking, or what you haven't said or have said. Like earlier in the book, I think there's a part where it reads, either how did you phrase it? Because I always say people are in two gears, either trying to gain pleasure or avoid pain. You said it differently in the book, but it's the same thing. What was it? What was it? It's at the beginning. Where is it? But yeah, so I think that's a great blueprint just to change your mindset, change your verbiage.
And the one key about money that we didn't know until you do the research is 86% of all millionaires are self-made. 62% of all billionaires are self-made. So we have this idea that people who are wealthy were born with it. 86% of the millionaires worked for it, and 62% of the billionaires worked for it. And how did they do that? They spent time listening to their goals, their dreams, embracing them, and making plans and writing them down to achieve them. And they took one step at a time. A few of them's the favorite sayings that they say is, whatever you're working on right now, treat that as the most important thing ever, because it is. Do the little things with as much commitment as you do the big things. Yes, Lester.
I heard, they were talking about the richest man in the world, probably the first man that's ever going to achieve trillionaire status. And they were talking about Jeff Bezos and Amazon. And as you read Jeff's story, how he started in his garage and he built this mega worldwide enterprise that reaches into a whole bunch of different areas. What's wrong with having a second Amazon or a third Amazon or a fourth Amazon? Henry Ford invented the car. That didn't stop Chevrolet and Oldsmobile and Jeep and all those people from going back and inventing cars. They say, hey, wait a minute, this guy's on to a good idea. Elon Musk comes out with an electric car. Now everybody is coming up with electric cars and stuff. So Jeff Bezos came up with Amazon, on his way to be the first trillionaire. Hey, Al, let's talk after this thing, man, and let's see what we can do, man. Let's hook up and let's create. We don't have to have a Amazon. We can have a Blackazon, Get out of
my head.
And you don't have to recreate the wheel. They say find something that works and duplicate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that we don't do. Find something that works and duplicate it. But then you've got to ask yourself though, what problem are you going to solve? What is in you to bring forth? Because life is telling you what it wants from you. Listen to that. What does it want you to do? And then take the walls from around it. And I think that's the one thing that the pandemic was sent to teach us, is to remove the walls from our ideas and proceed with the idea with no limitations.
Hey, Doc, I'm gonna shift gears real quick.
Yeah.
I'm in the office. I was in my office, and of course, I got one of the books here. Don't tell nobody. And I opened it up to one of my favorite pages, which is "Make the Decision to Be Happy."
What page is that?
That is, believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, it is page 16. Make the decision to be happy. And in there, you was talking about doing some exercises around your heart and your chakras, or your heart and things of that nature. And I found that during my morning meditations, when I wake up in the morning and start to clear the clutter before I start to deal with anybody, because sometimes you have one of them dreams where maybe the enemies are at the gate, and man, whoa, you do not want them to open the door. And so waking up and making the decision to be happy is one of my favorites. And so even before we get started, doing the exercises of feeling that energy around your heart, you know what I mean? And it's a healing process. And I've been doing healing for years, God, because God knows I needed it. So would you elaborate on some of those skill sets around the working with the chakras, and then with the mind, the heart, the relationships to each of those, and how they are working, helping you to stay balanced and happy?
Well, we do have a series of powerful systems within us. So far, we've discovered about 7, but there are more meridians than we will probably discover in this lifetime. And everything we do generally is a decision. So whatever happens to you, you decide if it was happy or if it was sad. If you're going to learn from it, if it taught you something, that's the decision you make. So I challenge you to make the decision to be happy, because everything we take into us ends up in our heart. Our heart is the most powerful organism we have, and the heart sends messages to the brain, and the heart controls all the blood flow through the whole system. So you will find that even when you're tapping or when you're doing any of those meridian type of exercises, you're clearing out all of the things that's stuck right there, because it gets stuck if you're not constantly moving or moving around. Exercise also helps you clear up your chakras too. Yoga, there's some physical things. So some people like to move. So there's plenty of things you can do to move. But if you don't like to move, there's things you can do staying seated. See how wonderful we are, how great our bodies are. You don't have to move. You can do it seated. But and the tapping of the heart, so you can rub the heart. It's up to you how you want to do it. You can tap the heart out. You can make a beat. Doesn't matter. Just tap the heart. And what you're doing is you're moving the energy that's stuck around that heart around. And you're moving it out so that it can flow through the rest of your body. You do the same thing with the forehead, because that's where your third eye is. And you can tap that, and you can use the bridge. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do it. So you can do that. And that will also move that energy around and break up anything that's stagnant there. Same thing with the top of your head, which is considered the crown of your head. But if you only have time to do one spot, it's the heart. Do the heart, because things stick in that heart, and you want to move it around so that you can make room for new energy. That's one reason we exercise, to get the blood flowing, to get the energy flowing, and clear all that up. So if you do a certain modality, like a tapping medallion, you're going to do your head, you're going to do here, you're going to do around here, you're going to do here, you're going to do here, you're going to do there. And I'm doing it really fast in your hand. But it's what you like to do. Now, I use the breath, and I inhale the breath, and I imagine the breath inhaling and then traveling through my heart, down through my root chakra, back up, exhale, and keep doing that 4 times. And because that's a pranic healing move, and I do pranic healing, and it gets the energy to moving too. Because once you feel a lot of times when we're stuck in emotions, they do stick in your body. You've got to move them around. And if you're having any pain in any particular place, the place that you're having the pain is important, because the place that you're having your pain will let you know what is going on with yourself emotionally.
In retrospect, with couples, is this the same thing or sort of the same thing where they say don't go to bed angry and you talk out those particular issues so that they don't stick in your heart and you wake up like want to go boil some grits or you lift your hammer and
oh, we're not boiling grits in hot water. Come on, no grits in hot water. If you should talk about it and resolve all the issues at night, because you don't want to bring into the morning, into the new day, those same issues. However, sometimes that's not possible. And if it's not possible, then make an agreement with yourself for a time, place, and date that you're going to resolve those issues. Because a lot of times you need to really stop to see how you feel about what's happening so that you can have that conversation the right way. You know, because sometimes we just want to go right into the conversation, but maybe what you want to say is, when you do this, this is how this makes me feel. But you've got to get past that I want to kill you or boil grits movement first. So you need to sit still and you need to get past that, okay? And stop flirting with that thought and let it pass. And then you can have the conversation. And if you still want to boil
what
grits,
they're grateful for.
Huh?
I said, so when they thinking about boiling grits, they should be thinking about, okay, look, I'm grateful. I'm still here. Right. I can make a change. I can move on. I can do this instead of wanting to cook somebody.
Right. And you can actually write things down. You can write down, I'm angry because. And if you write that down 25 times, by the time you get to the 25th time, you will realize what you're really angry about, which usually has nothing to do with whatever that conversation that just occurred. And then you can get to the truth, and then you can figure out what part of it you play and fix that part, and then decide how you're going to handle the other part.
Can you expound you mentioned the 80-20 rule in your book on page 66, but you know how when there are certain people who can push your buttons, and no matter how you pray for them, about them, they still push your button. But when I read this 80-20, I just need you to expound a little bit more how to use that when you encounter the individual that for some reason who can automatically just push that button.
Well, the first thing we need to own up to is that person didn't create that button inside of you. Who created the button? They didn't. You install that button yourself. So why did you install that button? And then I want you to ask yourself when you're in the situation, because if you think about it, if someone says something to you that's not true, you don't give it any thought. So if someone came up to each one of you all and says, hey, why do you have purple hair? It's terrible. I don't like it. You don't have purple hair. That's not the truth. Nothing about that statement is true. So it doesn't push your button, right? So when someone says something about you, remember, things happen because there's something your angels need you to know about yourself, and they need you to make a change. So they send your dark angel to tell you what it is. Now, it's going to come at the level and at the volume that it's going to take for you to make the change and hear it. Okay? So if I needed to change something, and I'm going to use myself, that little small, sweet voice, darling, you should, that is not going to work. I am not going to hear that. Okay? It's like, I need a little little bit more amped up. It's like, oh, that's what you were talking about. Okay. So it comes at that level. So you dissect it. Is it true? Is what they said true? And if it's not true, why are you reacting? And then if you're reacting, what are you reacting to? And that's, you're going to sit down with that. You're going to have to sit down with that with the journal. What are you really reacting to? What did they say versus what did you hear? And then, does what they say have an effect over your life? Does it, I mean, did you lose a job? Does it cost you money? Did it cost you anything? Because sometimes what happens could just possibly not be about you. It could be about them. But now you got your buttons all in there. So now you think it's about them, about you. But maybe it's about them. So so if it's not true, ask yourself, why are you reacting? Why do you have to defend yourself? And if is defending yourself going to fix that situation? Usually it's not going to. So why are you defending yourself? And then if it's just an opinion that they have about you, there's a great book called Your Opinion of Me is None of My Business. So people's opinion of you is really none of your business. It's their opinion of you. And why are we letting them push our buttons? So if it's something that they pointed out and some of it is true, just start to change what's true.
Okay.
Okay.
What would you say?
Because see, I can be really rough and people tell me that sometimes and it's like, okay, I know. I can change that. Okay.
What would you say is your favorite part of your book?
Well, you all know that I live by two things. That's gratitude and forgiveness. Because I'm forgiving all the time. So, because I already know. So sometimes forgiveness looks like this to me. So it's not perfect. It looks like, well, God, I'm going to forgive him if they don't get hit by that car. I'm going to forgive him if the tree don't fall off of them. I'm going to forgive him if they don't die tomorrow night. And then I usually have to work up to, I forgive them. I just forgive them. So yeah, sometimes it's just not that easy, but I have to do a lot of it because I understand the correlation between unforgiveness and illness.
Okay.
And I want to not have to deal with a serious health challenge instead of forgiving. So
that's very wise.
Yeah. So I want to forgive it and let it go. And then I want to grow from it. And I want to learn something from it and I want to grow from it. It doesn't mean that I may change the person I am, but I start to learn that in certain situations, I just can't say, did she just say that? Okay. Certain situations, I can't say that. Okay. That I have to learn to rephrase it and say it differently. And that doesn't make me any less Stephanie. That just means that I'm learning to have the right response in the right situation, because everybody is going through something, whether we are in a pandemic or not. We like to blame it on the pandemic, but everybody's going through something. Everybody's learning something, as I call it. Everybody got the naked baby. Everybody had to drive the 3-year-old to school and they threw the clothes out the car. Everybody's going through something. So most of the times it is not personal. It is about what they're going through. And sometimes people feel they're safe enough with you to release the valve. And they release it.
Let's talk a little bit about visualization.
Okay.
We understand how it works a little bit, the principle, but getting into I want to go into the deep, dirty of the visualization part of actually seeing yourself making transformations, because becoming that butterfly or becoming the worm, damn, it's hard. Okay, you see yourself there, you see the prize per se, but walking through the actual process
Okay, so first off, nobody promised us the rose garden. We didn't say it was going to be easy. There's nothing written that says it's easy. Okay, so it's not easy.
I'm still
But
you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. But
right, but same thing. If you can't think nothing nice, don't think nothing at all. Go to bed. Right. So what? So I used to experiment with visualization, and then I have some favorite techniques. Okay, so one of them I wanted a specific car. So I visualized myself getting that car. Then every time I turned around, I saw the car. So then I started talking to people who had the car. Like, why are you out with my car? Where are my car keys? Had whole conversations with people who had this car. Those people didn't know me, but they still played around. It was fun. And then I bought a model of it. And then I went to visit it and I went to drive it. And I just, all of a sudden, it just felt like it was a part of me. And we were able to find the car at a great price and had the car delivered. So that works for me. So, but I play around with visualization a lot and make it fun. A lot of people just don't make it fun. I record on my phone things like my story, like one of my favorite recordings is what I would say to my friend once I got this thing. I actually recorded how that conversation would be, and I play it. And then I have a series of affirmations of things that I'm thankful for, grateful for on my phone. Is 1 minute and 3 seconds. And when I'm putting my makeup on, I play it. Because your voice is the most important voice to you. Your voice is the only voice that you really believe. So I play it, and all of a sudden now what has happened is I'm expecting that. And then if you follow the lead, things will happen. Things that you had no idea would happen. Like you'll get a call or you'll see something or just strange things will happen. And they do happen. I visualized through University of Chicago MBA program that I was going to make it first. I remember my dream was always I would open up the diploma and see my name on it. And do you know the picture they took when I graduated? I actually doing this, and they took that picture. So,
oh wow,
yeah. So, but you have to do it a lot. It's not a hit or miss thing. It's not something you can do once a day. It's like when you get up in the morning, you know what your routine is going to be, and you're going to do that, and you believe you're going to do it, whatever it is. Get up, shower, brush your teeth, put your clothes on, get ready for work. You do that, okay? And all the while, you're thinking about what you're going to do at work, how the day is going to unfold. It unfolds. So you're already visualizing. It's what you decide to visualize that's important. So I write stories about it. I record recordings about it on my phone. I go to the bathroom and talk to Stephanie in the mirror, and we talk about it. And it becomes a real entity once you do that. To the point that you get to the point that you walk outside and it's like, no, but my car's supposed to be here. Like I'm getting in my car. Even getting in the car, I used to imagine it was the car. I would make the sounds it made as I was driving my old car with my mouth. I would do that. So you have to become childlike with it. Same thing you do, but see, we do it and we don't realize it, because if you had an assignment at work, you visualize how it's going to look when you finish it. When you start a project at home, you visualize how it's going to look, and then you just take the necessary steps. I think the problem becomes is we think that the universe works differently once we up the ante. We think that visualization has to be different once we go from, say, a project for your day-to-day project to a big project. And it's not. It's the absolute same process.
Now, does this process work for bringing people in and out of your life?
The thing about bringing people in and out of your life, the process does work, but you have to have some room for the energy, because remember, you attract who you are, and you need to work on changing who you want to be if you want to attract that person. So whatever you're doing and whatever you're going through, that's what you're going to attract. I don't care how hard you work or how many dating services you use or or how many people hook you up with friends. You attract who you are. So you need to work on becoming the best person that you are. And then your energy goes out and does the work for you.
You did tell me that last year, right?
Right. Well, I mean, if you don't, so in other words, if you mean, hateful, evil, and fighting out those devils, that's what you go track. Y'all gonna have some interesting conversations because all you gonna talk about is being mean, hateful, and evil, and attracting them devils.
It's those other 4 people in me that be like, "Come on, man."
Something. I know you're gonna wrap this up, but something else. If I could say anything to the people that's watching this, as plug for purchasing this book, Creating the Masterpiece from a Master Mess, it would be page 88 and 89, which is the mindset, the difference between the poor and the rich. And you list the categories, and I love the way that you got it set up here: poor, middle class, millionaire, billionaire. And as you read across this chart, it's almost like I need to take a highlighter and put where's my mindset at, and then that way it kind of gives me a roadmap as to how to move forward. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, then that means that you need to go and get this book so that you can see what I'm talking about on page 88 and page 89. But while you're at it, there's another great book that Stephanie wrote. It's called
Is anybody listening?
Is anybody listening? And be sure you dance. And then is anybody listening? It's just all kind of pearls of wisdom in there. So and you know what? And one of the things that said is that, and I had to get in that mindset. The sky's not just going to open up and life is automatically going to change. Because I wish it to change. That there is some work that I have to do, and part of that work in doing is when God said, be still and know that I am God. I am the God of all possibilities. I've latched on to that thing, but enough of that.
The mindset pages on 88 and 89, Edrea referred to those earlier. Take a look at that. So if you find yourself always saying, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough of this, I don't have enough of this, I can't do this, oh, the rich get richer and the poor get richer, then your mindset is stuck in scarcity. And you don't attract anything when you have a mindset of scarcity, because remember, you attract what you think and who you are and what you believe. So I want to encourage you all to start with forgiveness, start with and gratitude, work the steps in the book, but then get real about what you want to accomplish and the risk that you're willing to take. There is so much more that we can do now, especially online, because everything doesn't require an in-person meeting. No one's looking at you to see what kind of clothes you have on, just that you have clothes on now virtually, So we get a bit of a break now, but you can still make your pitches. You can still contact people through email, but get a plan and look at this and pick a mindset, pick a goal and work that goal. And whatever that goal is, give yourself between 5 to 20 years. You'll be surprised how much you can accomplish in changing your life. So we are at the end. Are there any last minute comments?
Yes, real quick, as Lester said, this book is a game changer. Doc, you hit the nail right on the head with this one. I really appreciate it. It's done so much to bring me from, well, where I was at to where I am now. And I like it. So it's all good.
You like this level of living now better, huh?
Yeah, I like it. People can live around me. It's all good. So.
And where do we purchase these books at?
Yes.
How do we get more of this?
Autographed books are available through my website, Champagne Connection. That's champagne like the liquor, CHAMPAGNE Connection, single connection.com. champagneConnections.com. If you go to Champagne Connections, you'll be really surprised. Don't go there, okay? So champagneConnections.com for an autographed copy. Other than that, you can get a copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble online. You can also get an Audible book now. It's available on the Audible platforms. And we're pretty proud of that because that just happened. So you can hear me, and I'm the narrator of the book. So you can hear me talk about the book. I promise I don't do any fussing on that. It's just the book, okay? That's where you can get the book. You can also go out to Smashwords. It's available on Smashwords for those of you who are Smashwords users. It does come in Kindle, also on Amazon, and Nook on Barnes & Noble. So you can get the book any format you like to read. So we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping before we say goodnight. I want you to go out to a Facebook page, Empower DR, and like my page. And my business page is Empowerment Doctor. Like that page also. Lots of pages. So while you're there, click Champagne Connection, a sip of inspiration, because you're already out there. I want you to follow us on YouTube. We do have a channel there, Sip of Inspiration channel there for the Empowerment Doctor, where all of these podcasts are uploaded there, so you can go back and watch those at time. We do podcasts through Anchor FM. We can also be found on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and Stitcher, and a couple other, but anywhere you can get your podcasts, you will find those podcasts. I want to thank Resource Industrial Supply Equipment for sponsoring these podcasts. When you need a supply company to rise to your needs, call Resource Industrial Supply and Equipment. And as I always say, be inspired. And to further notice, I want you to celebrate everything. Do not go gently into that good night, but find a heel worth dying for and take it. Be the person that you are waiting for and make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous. Above all else, do it your way. And remember, life is too short to drink cheap champagne. That's right. Before we go, I forgot. We have a merchandise store on Etsy, Champagne Connection on Etsy. So you can get your own Life is Too Short to Drink Cheap Champagne shirt. You can get your own tote bag. You can get a mug. It was just bunches of cool stuff out there. So go out and walk around like me with the Life is Too Short to Drink Cheap Champagne. So with that, I want to say good night. Thank you to my guest, Mae Pittman. Thank you for being my friends for hundreds of years. To Charles Jackson, Edrea Brown, who even after she's the second person I met in Chicago, she's still here, so I haven't scared her off. Lester Coleman, who only God knows how this worked for 22 years. And my niece, Tameika Gipson. Thank you very much. My other niece had to drop off. So thank you all. And you guys have a great evening. It has been a blast.
It has.
Yes,
Thank you.
Bye now.
Hey, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
to drink cheap champagne. So I decided to buy me a better brand to taste with my strawberries. What a high, lemon bubbles in the sky on the beach with